Throughout history, across cultures and centuries, humankind has been haunted and obsessed by one question. When will it all end? From cryptic prophets in robes to scientific geniuses with calculators, the idea of the world's destruction has inspired fear, fascination, and full-blown frenzy. Whether carved into ancient stone or hidden in dusty manuscripts, the warnings have echoed through time like a ticking clock no one can see. Some saw fire, others foresaw floods. Some believed in divine judgment. Others envisioned the cold precision of a cosmic collapse. But all shared one thing in common: a belief that the end was not just coming, it was coming soon. Let's journey into the minds of the world's most mysterious figures and discover the strangest, boldest, and most captivating predictions about the end of the world ever made. Perhaps no figure is more famous for his doomsday visions than Nostradamus. Born in 1503 in France, he was a physician by trade but gained fame as a seer whose cryptic four-line poems, called quatrains, have baffled and mesmerized readers for centuries. One of his most infamous predictions warned of a great king of terror descending from the sky in July 1999. For many, this sounded like the beginning of a global catastrophe. When the date came and went without incident, skeptics scoffed. But believers insisted that Nostradamus wasn't wrong, only misinterpreted. His verses are deliberately vague, open to endless interpretations, and yet uncannily aligned with certain historical events, leading some to believe the worst is yet to come, just a little later than expected. Then came the Mayan calendar, which captivated the world with an entirely different kind of warning. For years leading up to December 21, 2012, panic simmered. According to popular belief, the ancient Mayan civilization had marked this date as the end of their long count calendar and possibly the end of the world itself. Media hype exploded. Survivalists built bunkers. Hollywood cashed in with apocalyptic blockbusters. But the day came, and the Earth kept spinning. In reality, Mayan scholars explained that the calendar simply transitioned into a new cycle, much like how our own calendar resets each year. Still, the hysteria revealed something powerful. Deep down, many of us want to believe in the extraordinary, even if it means confronting our own end. Surprisingly, not all end-of-world predictions come from mystics or ancient cultures. One came from none other than Isaac Newton, the legendary physicist who discovered gravity. Less known is Newton's obsession with biblical prophecy. In secret writings uncovered centuries later, Newton calculated, based on scripture, that the world could end around the year 2060. He wasn't predicting fireballs or destruction, but rather a profound transformation, possibly divine judgment, that would reshape human history. For a man of science to be so invested in prophecy is as strange as it is intriguing. Was he seeing something we still don't understand? And then there's Mother Shipton, a mysterious English woman who lived in the 1500s and gained a reputation for uncanny predictions. She's said to have predicted the Great Fire of London and described future inventions like submarines and telegraphs. One poem attributed to her ends with a chilling couplet: "The world to an end shall come in 1881. Of course, that didn't happen, but many of her predictions were likely written or altered after the events they describe. That hasn't stopped the legend of Mother Shipton from growing over the centuries, her name now synonymous with eerie foresight and mystical riddles. Not all apocalyptic predictions end in disappointment. Some end in tragedy. In the 19th century, a preacher named William Miller convinced thousands of Americans that the world would end on October 22, 1844. People sold their belongings, donned white robes, and gathered on hilltops waiting for the second coming of Christ. When nothing happened, the day became known as the Great Disappointment. Some followers abandoned the movement entirely. Others reinterpreted the event as spiritual rather than physical. It even gave rise to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. But the story remains a cautionary tale about how deeply hope and fear can drive us to act. But perhaps the most chilling example of apocalyptic belief occurred in 1997 with the tragic case of the Heaven's Gate cult. Led by Marshall Applewhite, the group believed that a spaceship was hiding behind the Hale-Bopp comet and that Earth was about to be recycled. They thought suicide was the only escape, the only way to board the ship and ascend to a higher existence. 39 people took their lives in one of the most haunting mass suicides in modern history, a disturbing reminder of how belief, when weaponized, can lead to unthinkable consequences. And now, in the modern age, doomsday predictions haven't gone away. They've just evolved. Today's prophets are not cloaked in robes, but dressed in lab coats or tech conference badges. Countless researchers have warned about dangers like runaway artificial intelligence, climate collapse, nuclear war, and even asteroids or black holes. These aren't based on superstition, they're based on data, simulations, science. And somehow, that makes them even more terrifying. Because the next end-of-the-world prediction might not come from an ancient scroll or a glowing-eyed prophet, but from a scientist holding a chart, showing us that time really is running out. So, will the world end tomorrow? Probably not. But history shows us that we are obsessed with the idea of our own destruction. From ancient seers to modern scientists, we've always searched for signs, desperate to know when it'll all come crashing down. Whether we believe them or not, these predictions tell us something powerful about ourselves, that we are curious, fearful, hopeful, and endlessly fascinated by the edge of the unknown. Until then, the countdown continues. And that's just another story from this wild, weird, and wonderfully mysterious planet we call home. Welcome to Boom, Crazy World. If you enjoyed this journey into the end of days, don't forget to like, leave a comment with your favorite prediction, and subscribe to the channel for more strange and fascinating stories from around the globe.